Almond Roca recipe. The issue was that I was dependent and consumed excessive amounts of my homemade almond roca. I overdid it, and for the last 5 years or so I have avoided almond roca, which is essentially the same as English toffee. In the United States, the name brand for English toffee is Almond Roca. Define almond roca. Almond roca is a chocolate-covered, almond buttery toffee that has been rolled or dusted with ground almonds. Also known as the flavor of paradise. What constituents are they? Unsalted butter can be used. Simply add 12 teaspoons of salt and 1 teaspoon of sugar. Pure vanilla extract, only the genuine article. Baking soda gives toffee a lighter texture and helps aerate it, according to a tip I picked up from Heather at Browned Butter Blondies. I use any variety of roasted almonds I have on hand for the toffee filling, whether they are sliced, chopped, or slithered. For the finest flavor, be sure you toast the almonds. You may even use your creativity to make mixed nuts. You may use milk chocolate, but I love the dark with the sweet toffee. Dark chocolate, coarsely chopped. Although I like using high-quality chocolate, you could instead use chocolate chips. Almonds, roasted, sliced, or finely chopped. I prefer to use finely chopped almonds for the almond roca's top layer since you get that distinctive almond dust. Creating almond roca. Making handmade sweets of any sort should always be done when you have the time and energy to focus entirely on them. This is not a forgiving recipe, so you must continually mix the candy to avoid the chance of it not coming out properly. A cookie sheet should have a piece of parchment paper on it. Lightly grease the parchment and set it aside. If your almonds aren't already toasted, I recommend toasting and chopping them right away by spreading them out in a single layer on a large baking sheet and roasting them for 10 minutes at 300 degrees Fahrenheit per 149 degrees Celsius. You run the risk of the candy not forming up correctly if any of the recipe's components are not ready to go. Make that the chocolate is cut finely. Butter, sugar, and vanilla essence are added to a heavy-bottomed big skillet and heated over low heat. When the sugar has completely melted and the mixture has been blended equally, turn up the heat to medium, not high because you want the butter and sugar to melt evenly. Mix everything continuously with a wooden spoon or a heat-resistant whisk. This procedure will take 5 to 15 minutes, depending on the size of your pot. The substance will start to boil, bubble, thicken, and gradually change color. Keep an eye on the toffee's temperature with an instant read thermometer or candy thermometer. Take the pan off the heat when it reaches 295 degrees Fahrenheit per 146 degrees Celsius and stir in the baking soda. Add the roasted almonds once the baking soda has been thoroughly mixed. With an angled spatula, spread the heated toffee into an equal layer on the prepared pan. Sprinkle the chopped chocolate evenly over the toffee right away. You can tent the baking sheet with foil to help the steam stay in and melt the chocolate, or you can do what I do and put the baking sheet in the oven while it's heating up and blowing warm air, which will melt the chocolate in less than 5 minutes. Spread the chocolate with a different angled spatula, then top with the chopped, toasted almond pieces. Give the almond roca 1 to 2 hours to firm up. To avoid the chocolate from blooming and turning white, I advise letting it cool at room temperature for at least an hour. The chocolate will still taste fine even if it develops white streaks. You may put it in the refrigerator to hasten the chilling process. Cut into pieces and keep for up to a week in an airtight container. It should keep for a few weeks if you keep it in the refrigerator. I hope you like this recipe for handmade almond roca. This would make a wonderful homemade Christmas present for the season. I adore providing handcrafted presents to my near and dear ones. It is a fantastic present for lots of individuals because it is naturally gluten-free and you can use dairy-free chocolate. Can homemade almond roca be freezed? Yes. Let the almond roca sit in a single layer, with no pieces touching, for the first 2 hours of freezing. You can't just pull a piece out at a time if you don't want the parts to freeze together. Before consuming, let the frozen almond roca melt at room temperature for a minimum of 2 hours. When making toffee, why does the butter separate? Follow these suggestions to help guarantee you produce the greatest toffee possible. There are a few things you can do to stop the butter from separating while preparing toffee. Use a pot with a heavy, thick bottom. This makes sure that the pan heats up uniformly all throughout. Do not leave the toffee unattended or stop stirring for longer than 30 seconds. Avoid making abrupt temperature changes, such as turning the heat up on the burner to high in an effort to cook the toffee more quickly. Ingredients: salted butter, 8 ounces. 1 cup, 200 grams of granulated sugar. Pure vanilla extract, 1 tablespoon. Baking soda, 1 teaspoon. Roasted sliced, chopped, or slithered almonds, 5 ounces, 1 cup. 9 ounces, 1½ cups, chopped dark chocolate. 2.5 ounces, 12 cup, roasted almonds, sliced or finely chopped. Instructions: a cookie sheet should have a piece of parchment paper on it. Lightly grease the parchment and set it aside. If your almonds aren't already toasted, I recommend toasting and chopping them right away by spreading them out in a single layer on a large baking sheet and roasting them for 10 minutes at 300 degrees Fahrenheit per 149 degrees Celsius. You run the risk of the candy not forming up correctly if any of the recipe's components are not ready to go. Make that the chocolate is cut finely.